Hi everybody, I am SSD Showstopper and today is the sometime 29th or 30th of October 2023. Now around 13 days ago, it's not yet 2 weeks or 14 days, around 13 days ago I was having a discussion with an associate, and when I was having the discussion it was on the topic of people accepting who they are, standing in their truth and all of that good stuff. And so he made a remark that black women, there's a problem and black women have a problem. And I was asking him why he said that. He said black women have a problem because black men, we don't like accountability and we don't like responsibility. We don't like to accept responsibility for our actions and we don't like to take accountability. And I asked him, why would you say that? He said that as long as you're agreeing with a black woman, she's right. She will perhaps somewhat take responsibility there. But if you're holding her to the fire or you're holding her accountable or exposing something about her which is a nuance in society or which you might deem to be somewhat truth or some argument of merit to it, she doesn't want to take accountability. She goes into emotional tirade. She starts labeling you. She starts going into this excessive argument that is unnecessary rather than admit that this is where I was wrong or a lot of us were wrong. And so I was there and I was listening to him and I was saying that, listen, I can accept some part of your argument, even though it's not all black women. I can accept some part of your argument to be true. So he said to me that, see, what you're doing now, that's called self-awareness. So when you come into self-awareness and self-actuality, you learn to accept where you were wrong. You learn to accept responsibility, because I was saying to him in detail that I realized that there was a time when I actually think like that. I actually believe that about myself, that I was right, and as a woman and as a black woman and yada yada yada. And that's when he said, you are coming into self-awareness, that you can take no accountability for your actions and you realize your path. And so I say to him that one of the steps that I realize is that I do not wait on someone to solicit an apology from me. If they say that they're uncomfortable with something that I said or I did to them or about them, then I will apologize. I'm not apologizing if they were hurt. I'm apologizing because they said they felt hurt about something. So he was giving me the compliment and the credit that that's the case. Moving on. On Sunday, I was on a live on TikTok. And on the live, they were having a discussion about standards and stuff like that. Now, there was this guy on the live, and he was saying that he doesn't want a woman who has children or who have a child. He wants something that's neutral because he's thinking about relationship, dating, marriage, getting to know the person and stuff like that. And here lies a group of women who were on the live. I don't even know if they're women because they were just so extreme and hard-headed, And so they were holding the guy to the fire like he is wrong and he should take accountability because everybody has a past and you can't just set standard like that and this and that and you are acting perfect. And I tapped in and I said, listen, here lies a guy who is setting a standard for himself. Instead of complimenting him and thanking him that he is getting away from the nuances or what the cultural norm is or what has become a national pastime in the black community, which is toxicity, instead of complimenting him or crediting him for taking a stand, accepting his reality for himself, you guys are bashing, you guys are bantering him and going in on the guy. And I'm saying that, listen, he is within his rights and he's doing something that he thinks will promote or pivot him into having a wholesome relationship with someone. Yes, they can divorce in the future. Yes, they can go into separate ways in the future. But that's not the argument that is being put forward. He wants to go in something where his mind is clear, where it's wholesome, and where it is of great positivity in the black community. And instead of these women complimenting the guy, I guess because they're all single mothers, I guess because they have multiple kids for different men, they're in their feelings and they went on. They're also attacking me because I was supporting his argument and I was saying that if a woman has all these kids and for multiple men, clearly there's something wrong with her. And I'm not bashing or badgering that woman. There are people in life who need help. But they're saying that so everyone doesn't learn at the same pace. And I said, I agree with that. But how many mistakes are you going to make in order for you to learn? There are others who have made similar errors, and they could be a talking point. They could be a teaching lesson or a learning lesson for you. Why do you wish to walk down that path? I also said many people out there were upstanding people and are doing things of the norm, outside the norm, I'm sorry, and stuff like that, and getting into certain relations with certain people. A lot of these people are acting out of being rebellious also. They're going against the grain and going against the principles that they were taught, because one of them said that a lot of times our parents taught us the right way and we choose to do something else. So I said a lot of them are acting out of being rebellious. And that's it. And the parents themselves were perhaps rebellious. And so the children either become better than them, worse than them, or just like them. You understand? And that's just the reality that you have to accept. But no, I left the life because I can't argue with the ignorance. I can't argue with nescience. We're on two different vibrations. And I realized that the females, or the women, I'm not calling them female, the women on the platform were overly aggressive and they didn't want to be held accountable. And I said the problem with the black community is that a lot of women in the black community do not want to accept responsibility. They don't. And I said they're saying that stuff can happen why a woman end up having 3 children for 3 different men. And I said if that's the case, then she was raped. She was a rape victim, because it would therefore mean that she's not in control of her body faculty. You can be saving, one of them put the $500,000 narrative that you can be saving $500,000 for the future and something happened and you got robbed. I said that's life. That's unpredictable. That's beyond your control. Getting pregnant, having a child, that's your control. That's your decision. That's what you did. That it's like the law of physics. If you do not law of physics, the chemistry. If you add certain things and certain things, the testing of iodine goes one way. The testing of iodine doesn't go 10 different ways. You understand me? So that's what you would apply into today's society when it comes to a woman getting pregnant. That's totally a decision that she made, whether she like it, whether it happens, perhaps, and then they're mentioning how condom break. So I'm saying that in that regards, that's semantics. That's not the conversation that we're going in. You're picking argument to suit your narrative, to make an excuse for having multiple children for multiple men. The point of the matter is that you made a decision to go there. You made a decision to have multiple kids. And if you made a decision to have multiple kids, then you can't fault a guy because he doesn't want a woman that has multiple children. What's wrong with that? That's his decision. Women should set standards for themselves. No, maybe because setting standard for yourself, meaning that you're going to exclude other people and people have to be included and people have to... And I'm like, I could not argue with this kind of nescience, because all they want to know about is the exception. What if there's someone out there who's disabled and they can't provide for themselves and they really want a family? Like, if you aren't a protector and you aren't a provider, why are you interested in having a family? You should work on getting yourself together, getting and understanding the fundamentals of being a man, and then you proceed to, getting yourself a family. And a person, wheelchair, person with disability, a person with terminal illness, those are what? Exceptions than they are to the norm. So you can't use that as a basis to push your narrative. And that's what I was saying. And because they don't like what I say, or maybe I should dumb down myself, you understand me, to suit a mass of women who have self-esteem issues, because that's clearly the case. They're suffering from deep-rooted self-esteem problems and they are projecting. So they're like, oh, she acting like she's more intelligent. She's acting like she knows this and she knows that. She's acting like this, and me we done her, and that's what they were saying towards me, because I went back on the live. A lot of them, I guess, didn't know, but I was listening to their argument. And me we done her, and me can draw for a book, and me can draw. And I ask the question at all time, why is it that when there is a black woman or a melanated woman who decides to deviate from the norms of the black community and decides to stand out, take accountability for herself and also set standard for herself, why is it that she is demonized? That's a question I want to ask. Am I a single mother? I was. My baby is 18 years old now. But does that mean that I should not have standard for myself? Does that mean that another woman should not take accountability for her action? Clearly not. Let me draw this. When I used to be on YouTube a lot, watching a lot of pro-black woman channels, you know what happened? And I spoke about this before. Every single one of those people stopped. They had to redirect their entire channel. You know why? You cannot encourage black women to be a better them, because in that encouragement lies what? Accountability and responsibility. And they just do not want that. As long as you are supporting their argument, as long as you are suiting their narrative and you're holding other persons accountable, they are fine with it. They will support your channel, they will donate, they will subscribe, they will follow, they will encourage, they will buy anything that you have out there selling. But the moment you decide that you are going to hold them hold them accountable and let them know this is where you went wrong, this is your error, do not do this, so other young women don't do the same thing or make the same mistake. They don't want to hear that. And all of those, both men and women who have uploaded videos constantly after videos constantly, went and have major talking points, super talking points, all of them have to deviate from that fundamental eventually, because you can't please black women. They simply can't please. They are one of the most miserable set of women I have ever come across. The moment you decide to stand out, the moment you decide to have a standard, you best not let them know. Because if you let them know, they're going to demonize you. They're going to try to reduce you. They think that you are better. You are acting as if you are better. I don't even know what that means, to be acting like you are better. You are better than this situation. That's why you don't want to put yourself in it. What's wrong with that? What could possibly be wrong with that? What's wrong with a woman who wants to be married? What's wrong with a woman who wants to have a child? And this is not for black men, because we have a lot of black men out there. Yeah, you have bummy ass niggas in every ethnicity or in every group out there. You have them out there. So we are not focusing on them. Those are not the persons. We are focusing on who? The black men who want to be married, who want to have a wholesome family before they decide to procreate. And there's nothing wrong with that. Why are women going out and they're attacking these men because they have a standard? But when it comes to you and you have a standard, nobody's supposed to ostracize you. Nobody. You know what I'm trying to say? You don't want to have a standard for yourself also. And at the end of the day, you want to bash another woman because she has standard. So what if she decides that, okay, she wants to be a person who pick and choose. She wants to make the best person her husband. What is wrong with that? You're robbing her that she's going to be alone. A lot of these women die alone. They have their PhD. They have their this and that. And what's wrong with dying alone? How many of you did your mother give birth to at once? What's wrong with dying alone? I love cats. What's wrong with that? I'm a cat lover. What's wrong with that? You're shaming people because they have a standard and because they have goals and ambitions that are different from yours or from your reality. And I even spoke about a woman who having 6, 8 different kids for different men. Clearly, there is something going on with that woman. Did I bash her? Did I badger her? No, they did. You understand me? But because they want to suit their narrative, they run around with this. And I just tell you that there are just some hateful, vitriol, low vibration women out there who will go to the lengths to prove that they're innocent. They love that word. They're victims. They love that word. They should not be held accountable for any decision that they make in life. That's just a mistake. That's a walkover. But hence, the guy who is a repeated offender, he's a problem of society. We don't want that man in the society. But when you are coaching them and letting them know that you can set standards for yourself to make a better future for not only yourself, but also for the black community, because your child will be interacting with other people's children. And you want what? You want peace. You want decency. You want respect. You understand me? When it comes to that, they don't want that kind of responsibility. They believe that you're badgering them, that you're prejudiced and you're this and you're that. And I'm like, I'm just so over it. And you know what? I'm just done, because there obviously are some people out there who cannot be fixed. They're damaged beyond repair and they see themselves very low. They set very low standards for themselves. And because of such, when other people have other standards or even better standard, we are not holding any stones in our mouth and speak. When there are people out there with better standards for themselves, you want to attack them, you want to ostracize them, you want to reduce them to something else. And then you're going into overly aggressive behavior. You want to act violent. You can cuss off and you can do this. Like, who cares? Who cares? This is social media. Who cares? And we're having a wholesome discussion. Well, I thought we were having a wholesome discussion about better choices that each and everyone can make to push the community into something way more positive than it currently is right now. And I guess they didn't want to hear that, because with the black woman, you can't tell her anything. She's always right, and you should never disagree with her. So that's one of the angles. There are so many women out there who were pro-black women, and they had to stop. They had to stop because they realized what they were getting themselves into. You can't coach them into being a better them, because they don't want to hear that, because it's going to expose a lot of decisions that they make that were ill. I even brought forward Angela Stanton, who is a woman who had 5 children from multiple men. She also have a criminal record, you know, and she turned her life around, and she decided that she turned her life around and decided that she's going to write a book, and she's going to go into representational politics and stuff like that. Angela Stanton held herself accountable for her decisions. She didn't walk around and be putting blame on every single person out there, or every single guy that she got encountered with, or she got pregnant for. Yes, they could have stayed, they could have this, they could have that, but she know within herself that if she had hold herself to a certain standard and make better decisions, that wouldn't have been the outcome. It's not an issue having 5 or 10 children, but the way how you go about getting them, that is where the issue lies. And that's all we were saying. What's wrong with that discussion? What's wrong with that? They're talking about forgiveness, and we don't hold a person past against them. At times you have to hold a person past, because when there is no change, or there's no evidence of a change, we are not going there. I'm not going to test you out to find out if you are a better individual, when there are people out there who are going above and beyond to prove their self-worth and their dignity by being law-abiding citizens, by being wholesome people, by not going around and making you a whole bunch of baby mamas out there and creating problems for themselves. Why would I bypass that man to focus on a guy with 10 kids for 10 different women, 5 kids for 5 different women, and counting and counting? Why would I go against that guy to focus on that individual? Clearly he's unstable, and he's probably trying to get to the next bench. I'm just not going to waste my time on that, because it makes no sense. You're speaking of a woman, they spoke about a woman who is married and she can be divorced and left with multiple kids. Clearly, that's a resume. So upon meeting another guy, he's going to look into the fact that this woman, men are not idiots. They're making it seem as if men are idiots and they just prompt and do things without thinking all day, every day. Clearly, if it's a woman who is divorced that have 5-6 kids and she meets a man, the guy is going to look into it that this is a divorcee, this is a woman who was married, who was trying her best to have a wholesome family, and it just did not work out. Versus a woman who is out there having multiple kids from multiple different men. Clearly the guy, people just want to think that men are so monolithic and they all think and function the same way like robots. You understand me? And not every guy out there, the guys in your hood or in your hood rat community, doesn't speak for every man out there. Every guy wasn't raised the same way. And there are certain guys, even they were raised, but they go above and beyond to be the difference and be the change that they want to see. Is there something wrong with that? Black women out there, is there something wrong with that? Those are the ones I'm speaking, who doesn't set any standard, or who have done what I'm speaking of and believe that they're being attacked. No, you are attacking persons because they have standard for themselves, and it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the case. That's very unfair, and it's also unjust. You made your mistake. You live with your mistake. I'm a single mother. I was a single, because my daughter is now an adult. I was a single mother. I accept my errors. I move on. I accept my errors. At no point in time have anyone ever hear me speak ill of my child's father. Nobody has ever heard me speaking ill of him. That's where it's at. I leave it as is. That's just it. That's just it. We accept accountability and responsibility for our actions, and we may set standards so as what? Not to go in reproach, not to walk the same path. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There are also women out there who do not have children, and they're saying that they are not having any until they are married. It doesn't mean that a guy who doesn't have any kids and have everything together means that he's husband material, because there are persons out there with really shitty personality and they are low in character. So clearly that woman is not thinking about being a wife to that individual. So those are nuances that you have to respect and you have to look into. I will never fault a woman for having a standard for herself. Not every woman out there wants a thief or will settle for a farmer, thief, or a liar, or this kind of individual. Not every woman will settle for that. And you have to accept that. If you as a woman have a problem with that simply because that's who you choose to procreate with, then that's your business. That is your business. You can't fault another woman. That's not another woman's business or responsibility. So I'm not going to lower my standard on your behalf because you feel guilty about the things that you say. And then you're bringing over aggressive behavior, and you're going above and beyond to label people negatively and responding out of frustration and stuff, like being overly emotional for absolutely no reason. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. I could very well have a criminal record. You don't know that. You understand me? But at the same time, you want to ostracize and you want to judge me simply because I made a statement in support of the guy's argument because he had a standard for himself. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Grow the hell up. A lot of you women need to grow the hell up and get some self-respect and get some self-esteem. Self-esteem. Dig and find it. Dig and find your self-esteem and stop holding other women against their own truth and against their own self-worth. Don't hold women against that because it's unfair and it's unjust. I would never fault a woman who decides that she doesn't want to have any children until she's married. I would never fault a woman for that. That's her standard. Go and find yours. Go and find your self-worth. Go and find your standard. That's all you need to do. That's all I have to say about the topic. Thank you so much for your day. Enjoy your time. God bless you.